Okay, sit yourself onto your left and come into a good cross-legged position. Have a little wriggle about once you're down in cross legs, and make sure that you feel like you're sitting evenly. So just have a little wriggle about, make sure that you feel evenly positioned at the seat bones. And hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest. Just observe your energy. Just observe how your energy is feeling right now. Observe how your seat bones feel in contact with the lift. Perhaps just roll over, just move the buttock flesh out to the side a little, just so that you're really firm and really level. Just hold onto your knees and consciously elevate the heart area upwards, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Just look down at the floor, look at something that isn't moving. Focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Release your knees, bring your hands into Namaste, press the palms firmly together. Lengthen your armpits into your elbows, elbows into the heels of your hands, the heels of the hands into the fingertips. And with an exhalation, allow your eyes to close. Focusing on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Just focus as you inhale on filling the lungs from the bottom to the top. Filling the lungs evenly. Just observing that gentle sensation of energy around the lungs. And then with an exhalation, draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone or somewhere. And then gently Release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. Just hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area, creating an energy of positivity, just dwelling upon something or somewhere or someone that brings positive energy into your existence. Just holding on to that feeling as you bring your head upwards. Just bring the head level, allow your eyes to softly open. Just hold onto your knees, elevate the heart area upwards and draw your shoulders consciously down away from your ears. So there's a real juxtaposition between this lift of the heart area here, just lifting up as much as you can, and then this almost fierce action of drawing the shoulders down so that you lengthen out the neck, but you bring real energy into the chest. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the right side. I use the word fierce, drawing down of the shoulders. Fierce isn't really the right kind of word to use for yoga, is it? Determined is better. So just draw the abdomen across and the ribs and the shoulders. Just observe the balance of the seat bones. Listen to the breath. Observe areas of physical resistance. Just scan the physical body for areas of resistance and areas of freedom. Dwelling not just on the resistance, but keeping your attention in the full physical body. Come back to the center. Just hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the left. Drawing the abdomen across and the ribs and the shoulders. Just listen to the sound of the breath. And then come back to the center. Just come off your lift and just sit back on your heels, have the big toes together, your knees apart, and then just wriggle into your hips. Press your shins into the shin bones, into the shin skin. Lift up into the heart area. Draw your shoulders down away from your ears. And then come forwards into Adho Mukha virasana. Spreading the fingers, spreading the palms, pushing your seat bones down on your heels. and bringing the forehead down. Turning the tailbone in, lengthening from the hips into the armpits, into the elbows, the wrists, the palms. Just observe the sensations in the physical body, lengthening out into the arms, keeping the arms straight, locking the outer elbows in, keeping the forearms off the floor. Just let your arms rest on the side of the legs in the traditional child's pose. Let your arms relax for a moment. Just feel the slightly heavier pressure on the forehead, helping to quieten the brain. If it becomes heavy on the head, then consciously extend from the shoulders into the fingertips. That gentle pressure on the forehead just gives you just a little quietness. Stretch your arms out again, reactivate your arms, sit back on the heels, lengthen out the spine by drawing the tailbone down to the heels, broadening the lower back from the middle to the hips. And then turn your toes under and come up into Adho Mukha Svanasana, dog down. Just feel how your body responds to the pose this morning. Just acknowledging where there is resistance, where there is freedom. Try and work the pose so that there's levelness on the inside, that the legs are working evenly, the arms are working evenly with the legs. The left side is working evenly with the right side. So you find internal balance within the pose. Only achieved through a sequence of observation and activation. Step your feet forwards, just come up into a standing position, and then get your blocks for your hands, and then have your feet as wide apart as your mat, with the outside edge of the foot lined up precisely with the edge of the mat. Just stand in this wide Tadasana shape, lift up into the chest. Lift the heart area upwards, drawing the shoulders down. Spread into the fingers. Feel the palm stretch. Activate your kneecaps. Turning the fronts of the thighs consciously inwards. Stretch your arms behind you like you're holding onto a box of air. So you're squeezing it. Squeezing that box of air behind you. Lift the heart area a little higher and then hinge at the hips, trying to drive that box of air up to the ceiling as you do so. Keep the head lifted. When you're halfway, then just drop the imaginary box of air. It will float upwards. And then find the blocks underneath your shoulders. Be on fingertips on the blocks. Just observe how your body is feeling. We're just initiating the body into our practice. So I can feel that today my mind is a little more distracted than usual. I've got lots of things to get done today, and I'm trying to draw my attention into just this present moment, because I'm not going to get it done now. I'll get it done later, and I'll get it done later better if I can draw my attention inwards right now. So part of our practice is the initiation into the present moment, into the physicality of the pose, into the breath. Just observing as you go how your body and mind and breath are integrating. If you can go down lower, then do. If you can reach the floor, then do, but not at the expense of losing the action of the legs or the chest. Just feeling how it feels. Just listening to the body, listening to the breath. Bring your hands into your hips and then come up into a standing position and then come into uttanasana. Lift up into the chest. Breathe even, deep inhalations and exhalations. Just draw your attention into the physical body, into the sensations of the moment right now. Lengthen your arms forwards, interlock the fingers, turn the palms all the way out, and then raise your arms over your head. Squeeze the outer elbows inwards, draw the abdomen to the spine. Find your balance from your feet into your legs, into your hips, into your abdomen and shoulders and armpits and shoulders and elbows and wrists and palms. Keep the shoulders down away from the ears. And then release. Just swap the interlock of your fingers, so you do the other interlock, the unnatural interlock, and then turn the palms all the way out, and then raise your arms over your head. Just listening to the breath. Listening to your balance, to your extension, to your body's response. And then gently release your hands, spread your fingers. Again, lift your chest up to the ceiling. Just breathing even deep inhalations and exhalations. Spread your toes with the left foot. Bring your shorts up a little if you can on that left leg. And really tadasanaise that left leg. Turn the thigh inwards, tighten the kneecap. Lift up into the chest. And then bring the right foot up and push that foot into the inner leg. If you need something to help you to balance, just use a wall, or I've got a post here that just helps sometimes. So squeeze the outer thigh into the lifted foot. Squeeze the outer thigh into the lifted foot. Push the foot into the thigh. Lift the abdomen up. Are you lifting up evenly? Are your hips level? Lengthen from the hip into the bent knee. And then raise your arms up. So I struggle with this because I haven't got enough ceiling height, so I have to adapt it slightly. But lift the arms upwards. Just breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, listening to the breath. Just look at something that doesn't move. Just find yourself in the moment. And then release the leg, come back into Tadasana. Lift up into the chest, drawing the shoulders down. Just lift the shorts on the other leg if you can, on the right leg. Just be in Tadasana. In some ways, staying in the pose and observing the developing resistance brings your attention more easily into the pose. So your distracted mind is drawn more into the pose as you stay and you feel the continued resistance. Of course, that's only the case where it's not turning into pain. We don't want that. But turning into resistance. Bring the foot up into the thigh, the left foot up into the standing right leg. Just find your initial centre of gravity, lifting up into the chest, stretching into the fingers before you even raise your arms. I just knocked myself over there, and then raise your arms up. Breathing in through the it's just observing the body's response. So observe what your body needs to do to maintain your balance. And then release and release the leg. So when you stay in that pose, you find that your standing foot has to do a lot of the work. This shin is constantly correcting itself, kind of turning in and out, and it's kind of really strengthening the ankle muscles. So if, like me, you have weak ankle muscles, my muscles will, I can twist my ankle very easily. In fact, I did it yesterday. Luckily, it wasn't too bad. But my ankles go really, really easily. So giving it some real moment of having to kind of survive is a really good practice for weak ankles. Just lift up into the chest, draw your shoulders down, just feel how the body is feeling as a result of the poses so far. Bring your arms out nice and wide into the chest, and then step or jump your feet nice and wide. Turn your left toes in, your right leg and foot all the way out. Activate the legs, activate the hips and the spine, and then come down, find the shin, look up. So in your pose, we've done trikonasana hundreds of times in the past. We've been doing these classes for 5 years now, almost. So just observe your pose from the inside. Feel where there is no alignment or a lack of alignment. Feel where it feels heavy, where it feels light, and just work to address and find that internal balance within the pose. Come back to the centre, keep your arms outstretched, swap your fingers around, swap your feet around even. Just find your balance, activate your legs and your chest and your hips and your shoulders, and then come down, find the shin. Just observe your pose, developing that sensitivity from the inside. Come back to the centre, bring your feet parallel, and then step or jump your feet back together. Come back into Tadasana. Just observe the feeling of the pose, feeling of the body. Just listening to the breath. Bring your feet hip width apart, turn your toes in. We're going to go into uttanasana. If you need to go into half uttanasana, then just keep your arms straight, put your hands onto a wall or onto the top of a chair like this, or on top of just onto a lift. So you just go halfway Otherwise, we're going to hang all the way down. Lift up into the chest, raise your arms up. Hook the thumbs into the crease of the elbows, wrap your fingers around your elbows, hinge at the hips and come forwards. Hanging down. Just allow the upper body to release, but really determinedly lift the action of the legs. Again, seeking out that internal balance of action. Just observing your internal balance of action. And then release your hands to the floor, and then if you can with straight legs, come forwards, walk the hands forwards, bring the hands shoulder width apart, press the palms into the floor, step the feet hip width apart as well, and then come back up into dog down. Again, just observing the feeling of the physical body. So sometimes it takes a while to initiate the body and the mind, but once it's there, then you find that your practice becomes quietening and satisfying. Come down onto your knees, stretch your toes back and then sit back on your heels. Lift up into the chest. Feel the energy that you have released through your practice so far. Just listening to the breath. Just feeling the legs connecting to the ground. And then come up onto all fours. Just have the hands shoulder width apart, the feet hip width apart, and then lengthen into the toes. So we're going to go into rajakapotasana, the pigeon pose. So bring your right knee to make contact with the right wrist, bring the right foot underneath the left thigh, and then stretch that left leg back. Come up onto the fingertips, lengthen into the toes of that back foot. Just feel, are your hips level? Is that back leg hip too high? So turn the front of the thigh of that back leg, turn it inwards. Turn the front of the thigh inwards. So bring the hips level, lift out of the abdomen into the diaphragm and up into the chin. Just breathing even deep inhalations and exhalations. Bring the palms of the hands down, turn your toes in of that back foot, step in, and then come back onto all fours. Have your hands underneath your shoulders, your knees underneath your hips. Just have a little wriggle in the hips, just opening up those side ribs, so side hips even. And then bring your left knee to make contact with the left wrist. Bring the left foot underneath the right thigh. And then come back into the rajakapotasana. Turning that back leg, the front of the thigh, turn it inwards, turn the back of the thigh outwards. And then lift up into the chest. Bring the palms back down onto the floor, step in with that back leg, just come back onto all fours, and then sit back on your heels, lengthen the chest forwards, and then lengthen into Adho Mukha virasana. So forward bend in action, maintain the connection as much as you can to the heels and the seat bones. Keep really extending forwards. Just pressing the forehead down into the floor. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders, push yourself up into a cross-leg position, just sitting back on your heels for a moment. Just observe the energy that you've released. And then come into cross legs. Just sit directly on the floor, or if you need to sit on a lift, if you sink in the chest, then sit on a lift. Otherwise, sit directly on the floor in half padmasana or in cross legs, whichever is most comfortable and doable. Never do half padmasana if if there's any strain in your knees. So just observe that. Just roll over and move the buttock flesh out to the side. Hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Draw your chin forwards and down to make contact with the chest. Jalandhara bandha. Raise Mula bandha by lifting the anal sphincter up towards the belly button and the diaphragm region. Just spend a little time just filling the lungs from the bottom to the top, allowing the energy of the breath to overflow into the arms and the torso and the legs. Normal exhalations from the top of the lungs to the bottom. Just acknowledging your connection between the breath and your energy. Just filling the body with the energy of the breath, that tangible energy of the breath. And then release Jalandhara Bandha, release Mula Bandha, and then bring the body up, bring the head up, just sitting in cross legs, just observe the energy that you released through your practice, that lightness of being in the physical body. Take a deep inhalation, and with the exhalation, turn to the right side. Again, just maintaining your consciousness of balance, internal and external, but particularly internal. Balance of the seat bones, balance of the breath, balance of your action. And then come back to the center. Take a deep inhalation, just find your balance. And then with an exhalation, turn to the left. And then gently come back to the center. Just lift up into the chest. Feel the balance of the seat bones, elevating the energy from the hips up into the chest, into the head. And then come down onto your back into supta, baddha konasana. Pull your feet in towards the seat bones, let the knees fall apart. If your head feels as though it rolls back, you can put a block, so you can put a blanket underneath your head just to support the head and the neck. Take your glasses off if you're wearing them, and just push the feet together, have the palms facing upwards away from the body a little. Connecting the tip of the index finger with the tip of the thumb. Just allow the energy that you have created through your practice, allow that to move around the body, filling every cell with the positive energy of the poses that we have worked on this morning. Use your breath to distribute that feeling of energetic lightness. Use blocks on the outsides of your thighs if you need to, if there's discomfort in your hips. Otherwise, just using the pose to distribute your energy. Filling your body with the breath. Draw your knees towards each other. Get hold of the edges of the mat. Pull your knees into your chest and then raise your legs up in viparita karanhi. Just continuing to fill the body up with your energy. Using your breath to distribute that feeling of energetic lightness. Just observing the feeling in the skin. The energy in the skin that almost prickles with consciousness. Remember, if it's difficult to lift your legs, you can put a block underneath your lower back, just the sacrum area, just to help you to lift the legs. And then when you're ready, just bend your knees, bring your feet back down onto the floor. Just come up onto your elbows for a moment. Make sure you're in a really good straight line right down the centre of the mat. And then just guide yourself back down onto the floor. Just move anything that's in the way. And allow the body to completely relax into the floor. Just distribute that feeling of energetic lightness into the toes and into the fingers and up into the top of the head, using the breath as a conduit to the movement of the breath. Okay, when you're ready to disturb yourself, just wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bend your knees, bring your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then gently roll over onto your right side, just stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into the seated position. Just come into cross legs with the hands in Namaste, just a final spinal lift. Draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice. A good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the breath work brings to the body and the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Just spend a moment to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you've really centered your energy and given yourself some good, positive energy to put into your day. Thank you very much for joining me.